Kristi here, and I am so excited to be together again cooking in the kitchen. Today we are learning how to make apple pie overnight oats. This quick breakfast uses just 7 ingredients plus one that's optional, and it's no bake. We pop it into our refrigerator for at least 2 hours or up to overnight, and we end up with a great, healthy, tasty, and filling breakfast for ourselves. We're gonna have fun making this together today, and I'm so glad you're here.
All is calm and all is bright tonight.
Now, the first step to cooking and working in the kitchen is to wash our hands. While I wash my hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds, let's go over the ingredients and supplies that you'll need to gather to cook along today. The ingredients you'll need are half a cup of rolled oats, half a cup of milk, 1/4 cup of vanilla yogurt, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and for the toppings, half of an apple, 1 tablespoon of chopped pecans, which is optional, and 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. The supplies you'll need are a cutting board, 1 glass cup, a liquid measuring cup, 1/4 cup dry measuring cup, 1 tablespoon, 1 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon, a spoon, a butter knife, and a piece of plastic wrap. Okay, great. Your hands are clean, my hands are clean. We've gathered our ingredients and supplies, so let's get started making our apple pie overnight oats. This is a fun breakfast. Last week we did a peanut butter banana overnight oats, so I wanted to give you another option of just the same base but different flavor combinations to see how many different ways you can make this breakfast. And I love it that it's no bake. You can pop it in the refrigerator at night, and the next morning you have a breakfast that's gonna fill you up and it tastes good. So I just like these recipes. So the first thing we're gonna do is grab a glass cup to put everything in. I'm using a glass cup, that way the saran wrap or the plastic wrap actually holds to the cup when we pop it in the refrigerator. If you were to use a plastic cup, that plastic wrap isn't gonna stick to it. But you could always use a different, like maybe you have a little jar with a lid that you wanna use. As long as we can put a cover on it to go in the fridge, that's the goal. So I'm gonna take the cup that I'm using and place it right in front of me because everything is going to go right in here. So let's build the base. Now we're gonna put our our rolled oat. So that's like old-fashioned oatmeal. You don't wanna use like a quick cooking oat because it's not gonna soak up the liquid the same. So we want an old-fashioned oat or a rolled oat, whatever you like to call it for your oatmeal that we're gonna use today. And we're going to do half a cup. So I'm actually going to grab my 1/4 cup dry measuring cup. Because we're going to use this for the yogurt, I thought it would just be easier to have one and not have to pull out a whole nother measuring cup. So because this is 1/4, 1/4, and we need a half a cup of oats, we're gonna do 2 of these because 1/4 plus 1/4 equals a half. So I'm gonna take 2 scoops of my rolled oats or my old-fashioned oatmeal and put it right into my cup. Best I can without it spilling everywhere. So there's 1, that's 1/4. And if we do a second one, that would be a total of half a cup of oatmeal. You can now put your oatmeal to the side. That's all we needed that for. Keep your dry measuring cup near because like I said, we will use that for our yogurt that we're gonna put in there. And next we're going to add the chia seeds. So I'm going to grab my chia seeds as well as my 1 tablespoon. This is the biggest one like this that we're using today. It says 1 TBSP. Now, if you don't like chia seeds, you don't have chia seeds, you don't have to add these. They are optional. It just gives your overnight oats a bit more nutritional value. It's gonna help keep you a little bit more full, but if you don't like them or you don't have them on hand, you can skip this ingredient. So I need a tablespoon, so I'm just gonna scoop out 1 tablespoon and pour it right into our cup. You can put any extra chia seeds you have to the side. Keep this near you. We're gonna use this for maple syrup, so don't put that away yet. Now we're going to add our cinnamon, and this was one of the ingredients that helps make it taste like apple pie. So grab your 1/4 teaspoon, it's the smallest one like this today. It will say 1/4 TSP, and then grab your cinnamon. And we just need 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon into our cup. You can put your cinnamon to the side, we are done with that. And you can put your 1/4 teaspoon to the side, we are also done with that. Now from here, I'm just gonna grab my spoon and give this a quick stir. So this is just the spoon that we have in the supply list. We're gonna give this a stir just to help mix around our chia seeds and our cinnamon before we start adding our liquid ingredients. And we'll stir it one more time once we put all the milk in, but just wanted to give this a quick mix. All right, keep your spoon, we will use that again. Now we're gonna start adding the liquid ingredients that the oatmeal soaks up and just gives it that more creamier flavor and texture when we take it out and eat it the next day. So I'm going to grab my yogurt. Now this is this is vanilla yogurt, but you could use a Greek yogurt too. So if you wanted it to be a bit more thick and have extra protein, by all means you could use Greek yogurt. I'm just using like a low-fat vanilla yogurt because that's what I have in my fridge today. So I'm going to grab my yogurt, and then I'm also going to grab that 1/4 cup dry measuring cup again. So it says 1/4, and we need 1/4 cup of vanilla yogurt into our cup. I'm just gonna take it the best I can, and if you get a little bit more, a little bit less, not a huge deal. This is what gives it a vanilla flavor. It helps flavor those oats. I'm going to dump this right in my cup. Tap it off. Now you can put your 1/4 cup to the side because we are done using that. Any extra yogurt, pop back in your fridge. Now we're going to add the maple syrup, and we are going to use 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. So you're going to take this big one again. It's what we used for our chia seeds. It says 1 TBSP. So grab that and grab your maple syrup. We are going to do 1 tablespoon of maple syrup right on top of our yogurt. Right in there it goes. All right, you can set that to the side. Now keep your maple syrup near you because we will use that at the end. We're gonna add a little bit more maple syrup when we top it off with our apples and our pecans. So keep that next to you, don't put it away just yet. And now we need to add our milk. So, I'm going to take my liquid measuring cup because we need 1/2 a cup of milk. So I'm gonna set this right in front of me. Want it on a flat surface so we get an even measure. And then I'm going to grab my milk. Now I'm just using like a 1% milk. You could use 2% whole milk. You could use soy milk or almond milk. Any type of milk that you have in your fridge is what you should use. And this is just going to, again, give the oats something to soak up so that they get a little bit more flavor. They become that overnight oat consistency. They give us some protein. So just grab whatever milk you have on hand, and we are gonna measure to the 1/2 line. So I'm going to pour my milk in to the 1/2, which gives me 1/2 cup. Because we have equal parts, we have 1/2 cup of oatmeal and we have 1/2 cup of milk. You can put the rest of your milk aside, we are done with that, and now we're just going to pour our 1/2 cup of milk into our cup. Right on top of everything. You can set your liquid measuring cup to the side because we are done with that. Now grab your spoon again, and we're just going to mix this all together. We want all of our ingredients to get incorporated. You'll see because we have our cinnamon in there, it turns a little bit darker. Where last week we did not have cinnamon in our overnight oats, so it stayed a pretty neutral color, but this time it will change to be a little bit darker because of the cinnamon. It smells good because of that cinnamon and vanilla. All right, so keep your spoon to the side, or you can put it away. This is the same spoon I'll use to taste it in a little bit, but if you want to pop it in the sink, you can. But now we need to put our plastic wrap on. So grab your piece of plastic wrap or saran wrap, and all we're going to do is put this right on top to make a seal. So you can see when we use a glass cup, it holds nicely. And we just now need to put this in our refrigerator for at least 2 hours. So 2 hours is the minimum. That's gonna help thicken it up. It's gonna have the oats soak up all of our ingredients. But you can put it in your refrigerator for up to overnight. That way if you make this at night, pop it in the refrigerator, then the next morning you have this quick, filling, tasty breakfast that you can just grab and eat right away. So let's go ahead and put this in the refrigerator for at least 2 hours, and then when we come back and take it out, we'll talk about adding the toppings, which gives it that apple pie flavor. All right, friends, this is exciting. So this has just sat in my refrigerator for 2 hours, and all I have done is just obviously taken it out. I'm gonna set it to the side because now we need to slice my apple. We only need about half an apple for this part. We're really just topping our overnight oats to give it a bit more flavor. It turns it into the apple pie flavor. So I have an apple, it's clean, I've rinsed it and dried it off. So if you wanna grab your apple, and then I am just using my butter knife that we had in the supply list. You could use a sharper knife if you feel comfortable, but all I really need to do is cut half of my apple off. So carefully, I'm gonna grab one side of my apple and take my butter knife and just cut a side off. Obviously, if you use a sharper knife, it's gonna be a little bit easier, but I can get it done with a butter knife and it's a bit safer. So whatever knife you feel comfortable with, we only need about half of that apple. And now I'm just going to cut it into a couple small little chunks. And you might not even use a whole half an apple, it depends on how big your apple is. But I'm actually gonna just use a little bit here. It's really just to top it, so however many small little apple chunks that you would like, that's what we're getting to. And definitely don't throw the rest of your apple away. Go ahead and eat it. Don't waste it. Share it with somebody. But now I just have a couple little apple chunks in it. However big that you would like them to be in your mouth when you eat this is how big you want to cut them. So for me, I might do a little bit smaller. Just carefully, not wanting to cut my fingers. Just getting some small apple chunks here. All right, so this looks like a good amount. All I'm gonna do now is take off my plastic wrap. You can see that the cinnamon is in there. We're going to not stir it because when we eat it, we can just take a scoop and get all those different layers. So I'm just taking my apples and popping them right on top. And if you want more apples, definitely cut up a little bit more of your apple. I just want enough to cover the top layer. It's really about 1/4 cup of an apple, but just if you use about half of an apple, you're gonna get about the same amount. Now I'm going to add the rest of my maple syrup. So I'm gonna do 1 more teaspoon of maple syrup. So if you wanna grab your 1 teaspoon, it says 1 TSP. And like I said earlier, don't put your maple syrup away because we are going to now just drizzle a bit more on top. Got 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. Going to give this a quick drizzle. You can put your teaspoon to the side. We are done with that. You can put your maple syrup to the side. And now this last ingredient is optional. I have pecans here that I'm going to just take a tablespoon of and put on top. If you don't have these, maybe you can't have nuts, it's completely optional. Again, just helps to add to that apple pie flavor, gives it a bit more crunch, which I usually like to have a crunchy thing inside of my overnight oats. Last week it was chocolate chips. This week it's going to be pecans. So if you are using pecans, I'm just gonna take my 1 tablespoon. It's the same one that we use for the maple syrup and the chia seeds. It says 1 TBSP. And I'm just going to do 1 good size tablespoon of pecans. And then you can put your tablespoon to the side, you can put your pecans to the side. You could also do a different nut. Maybe you have almond slices. Again, it's just kind of giving a bit of crunchy flavor and texture, but whatever you have in your kitchen is what works for you. That's the joy of cooking for yourself. You can try different things, you can experiment, and whatever works for you because you're the cook. All right, so this is it, my friends. We've now made our apple pie overnight oats. We used just a couple ingredients, popped it into our refrigerator for at least 2 hours, gave it a nice little topping, and now we have this great breakfast that we have learned to make for ourselves and that we get to eat for ourselves. So I do hope you try and make it or try and make it again, and when you do, let me know how it goes. Leave me a comment, let me know if you have any questions. You can even send me a picture of how your apple pie overnight oats turned out. I would love to get to see your creation, and maybe we can share it next week. Now, speaking of next week, on next week's episode, which is episode 80, we are learning how to make cinnamon and sugar banana chips. This fun snack uses just 4 ingredients. We pop it into an air fryer for just 20 minutes altogether, and we end up with a new fun way to eat a banana. In order to cook along and make our cinnamon and sugar banana chips, these are the ingredients that you'll need to have in your kitchen for next week. 1 ripe banana, half a tablespoon of coconut oil, half a teaspoon of sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Well, friends, our time today together is almost over. I do hope you've enjoyed learning how to make our apple pie overnight oats. I know I had fun, and I already can't wait to cook together again next time. But before you say goodbye to this episode, make sure to click subscribe if you haven't already. You just have to click the little picture of me in the corner. That way you don't miss next week's episode. It'll be out on Friday, and I'll see you then. Bye, friends. It's time to eat.